So good afternoon. My name's Alison Warner. I'm founder and director of Evolve and Grow. We are a business coaching consultancy that specialises in helping trade businesses, be that builders, plumbers, electricians and the like, move off the tools to grow a really successful business. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Mike Beck, who is founder of Trade Underfloor Supplies, which provides energy efficient heating systems to the plumbing and heating industries. Mike's accolades, of which there are many, include being featured in award-winning developments on Channel 4's Grand Designs and Restoration Man, being Retail Business of the Year at the Burton Business Awards in 2015, and also a finalist in the Excellence in Retail category at the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce Awards in 2016. So welcome, Mike.
Hi, Alison, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good. Still in lockdown, but very good.
Yes,
so I was just
likewise.
looking at some stats on the industry, which I wasn't aware of before I met you. So the underfloor heating industry accounts for 8% of the UK heating industry. And the underfloor heating market is expected to grow by 4 to 6% year on year to the end of 2024. The next one was of particular interest to me. So underfloor heating is up to 25% more efficient than radiators when used with a gas boiler, and up to 40% more efficient when used with a heat pump. So I know that this from my partners from New Zealand, so I know that it's more prevalent in New Zealand, but I guess it's a fairly new thing here in the UK.
It's not actually that new, but it will be new to a lot of people. So probably the first underfloor heating system was installed over 30 years ago in the UK, I would imagine. Right. But for a lot of people, it's not something they've experienced in their own home. So the awareness amongst the general public has grown over the years, and with the sort of increase in the number of people redeveloping their own homes and self-building and the grand design market and all of that sort of DIY sort of sector of the industry, it's helped the underfloor industry to grow. So it's not particularly new, but for a lot of people it won't be something they've probably experienced before. And probably the renewables part of the market is even newer to a lot of people. But equally both sides of the heating industry, the renewables and the underfloor, are growing steadily now, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So who would you say are your typical type of customers?
Our customers fall into two categories, really. So we've got the heating installers, which will be plumbing and heating contractors, ranging in size from sole traders up to larger M&E contracting businesses. And then we also deal with property developers as well, again, small to medium in size. So they'll be dealing with private clients on bespoke one-off builds, and then possibly those that work on medium-sized projects, which might be maybe 2 to 40 houses in size, rather than the sort of national builders, which we don't deal with.
Right, okay. And what sort of things are they coming to you for?
So they're coming to us really for the expertise around the design of the systems. Right. So most, if not all, of our customers will outsource that aspect of the project. So every project will be different in some way or shape or form. They'll all have a set of variables, and all those variables need to be taken into account when you're designing a system to ensure it's got the most efficiency, or the homeowners getting the most efficient system that they can be getting. So that area will be outsourced generally to a specialist sort of business such as us, which allows then the installers to concentrate on basically installing the products themselves.
Right. And what would you say their main challenges are?
I would say it's that particular part. So I think for most installers, they can walk into a property and would be able to generally size a boiler up, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to just specify an underfloor heating system by looking at it, or by we'll provide a fully bespoke design which will include a CAD pipe layout. So essentially they're coming to us for that. The ones that are perhaps newer to the installation of underfloor and renewable heating systems will also be coming to us for support in terms of the technical side of things as well. So we work with customers on a sort of an ongoing basis. On each project, we'll work with them before, during, and after. It doesn't kind of stop at the point of just supplying the products. It will be, like I say, an ongoing process with them generally.
Yeah, which I guess is really welcomed by them, because it's that ongoing support, isn't it? And they've got you at the end of the phone should they hit any problems. Having that there, I'm guessing, is of real support to them.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, you could technically go and buy the products that we supply from an online business or from a merchant. But for a lot of the projects that we work on, they're not, you know, like I said, there's variables to them, and there's particularly with renovations, there'll be a variety of perhaps systems or options available as to which is going to be the most practical or the most efficient for that particular home or that project. Yeah. So we'll work with our clients or customers rather than just supply to them. And yeah, we tend to work with them. You know, most of our customers that we have now have been with us for quite a number of years, and the ones that we do win perhaps from other competitors will retain as well for quite a long period, because I think it's the type of thing that they will want a partner with, if you like, rather than just a supplier.
Yes, exactly. So if I'm a heating engineer and I've got a customer who lives in an old property, what sort of things could I offer them?
So again, that's a good example, really, because if it's a new build property, the systems are quite straightforward. But with existing properties, depending on the age, the sort of insulation properties of that building, there might be a variety of different options, and it might not be suitable at all for certain projects or certain properties. So there is generally a solution, an underfloor heating solution for pretty much all applications now. When it comes to the renewable heating, we'll look at it on a case-by-case basis and work out, you know, what the most feasible system is, or if it's not feasible, we're usually upfront and honest with people in terms of whether it's going to be practical, because in most cases an underfloor heating system is possible, but it's not always possible with a renewable system. So sometimes you just have a look at it and say you would be better to go with a gas boiler in this instance, or an alternative. So but yeah, the market, I mean, let's take London, for example. There's not a lot of new build in the centre of London. So everything there is renovation or refurbishment of existing properties. And then in the last, I don't know, several years, more and more systems have become available for renovation projects now. So it's great. There's not many instances, or hardly any way you can't actually get an underfloor heating system into an existing property.
So what does the future look like, do you think, for gas boilers?
Well, the government announced last year that by 2025, they proposed by 2025 that all new build houses will have to be built without a gas boiler. So the future of them looks to, you know, be fairly bleak, I guess. But the market for, you know, gas boilers in existing properties is still huge. There's around 29 million homes in the UK, of which 90% or thereabout rely on a gas boiler. So there will obviously be replacements for all of those homes, but in terms of new builds, then we hope that date of 2025 sticks. And obviously one viable alternative to gas is to replace it with a renewable heat source, which would be something like an air source heat pump for most houses. So there are going to be big changes in the next few years, and
undoubtedly, I'm sure we'll see big changes in lots of ways. Even just coming out of this lockdown period, I think people have become so much more aware. It's brought it into focus, hasn't it? The whole climate change discussion and the impact of us being in lockdown and how it's changed the environment. So how do you think we will heat new homes in the future?
Well, I would like to say through renewable heat sources. That's obviously the area that we're most interested in sort of pushing installers towards. So there's a few conversations around sort of hydrogen being utilised within the existing gas network. but I don't know how feasible that is on a big scale. So for us, I mean, renewables is definitely the way to go. It's the most environmentally friendly solution and would be the most energy efficient in terms of cost savings for consumers, I guess, long term as well. It's not that far away now. I mean, 2025 is what,
exactly.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see what actually happens. There has been quite a shift, it feels like, in the momentum towards renewables in the last 18 months. We've seen a bit of a spike in terms of interest from installers who are looking to start embracing renewables alongside, you know, the other services and products that they offer to their customers. We actually held an event in February which was designed to offer heating installers, so customers of ours and other potential customers, give them an opportunity to come along and learn more about how they can start their, I guess, the journey into renewables and underfloor heating, which tend to go hand in hand. So yeah, there's definitely a shift in sort of emphasis towards renewables. Whether it will be the ultimate replacement for gas, we'll have to wait and see, but we sincerely hope so, yeah.
It kind of ties in with my next question, which is, what are customers looking for now that perhaps they weren't 5 years ago? And when I say customer, I'm thinking really homeowners, I guess.
Well, I guess consumers across the board are probably more conscious about sort of, you know, environmentally friendly products, whether it be heating products, whether it be an electric car, or, you know, anything that people are tending to buy will be more conscious than they were 5 years ago. Heating is one of those things where I don't know how much it's on somebody's, you know, somebody's consciousness when they're buying a new house. I think if you talk to people who are building, self-building, they're more likely to have done a lot of research into every element of the build, and they will probably have, they'll be more in tune with sort of energy efficient heating, along with, you know, having researched that amongst bifold doors with more energy efficient glazing and lots of different aspects. But if you probably talk to 10 people who are buying new build homes from large housing developers, they're probably, I don't know how high up on their sort of wish list energy efficient heating will be. It's a little bit chicken and egg. So funnily enough, I actually moved to a new build house about 18 months ago. And there's no option for us to change the heating system. I obviously wanted to put underfloor heating in if I could, but we can't do that. We couldn't do that because it invalidates the warranty.
Right. Okay.
So I think it falls on the developers to obviously lead the way as well, because consumers, I don't know, at some point will start to demand more environmentally friendly products. But if it's not there in a new home for them to be able to do it, would they not move to that house because it hasn't got renewable heat source? I don't know, probably not. Maybe they could offer them the choice. I did say this to my friend who actually works for the house builder who we bought the house off. If there was the option of upgrading to a heating system that was maybe renewable, or or heating that was more energy efficient, would we have paid extra for the home? Absolutely, yeah, we would have, because I know the benefits of it personally. So yeah, I think it's a bit chicken and egg in terms of that. Whereas something like electric cars, I think consumers know the benefits way more clearly. It's probably more in their consciousness or something when they're looking to buy at the moment. But
well, you could argue it's just that market is further along the change curve. That's all. And I guess it's, you know, if you are a plumbing and heating engineer, it's about being aware of this change that is coming. Inevitably it will come, or a property developer, and it's about making sure you're ready for it, because the early adopters, if you like, will be the ones that I guess are going to benefit the most. And that kind of ties into my next question. How could a plumbing and heating company be educating their customers differently, do you think?
Well, yeah, I think that's what I say about leading the consumers in a lot of ways. So let's say, for example, one of our typical customers, a heating installer, was quoting a job for one of their clients, which might be an extension of an existing property, or they might be building a new house, for example, and the client really doesn't know the options that are available to them and may just expect that a gas boiler is the way to go and stick a boiler in with radiators. The installer really at that point would be, you should be sort of advising, that there are other options available, more energy efficient options available, which are, giving them not just the environmental benefits of sort of, you can cost saving benefits as well. And I think this is where we're seeing more and more installers start to show an interest in renewables and underfloor heating, is because it's actually opening them up to a different market as well.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, there is an emphasis on the installers to be knowledgeable enough to be able to educate the customer as well when those instances occur, I guess. Because like I said, the homeowners or the end users aren't always going to know what's perhaps available and what's probably best for them.
Absolutely not. I certainly wouldn't have done. And it's another way of them setting themselves apart, I guess, from their competition and positioning themselves as the expert, and building trust. And something we were talking about earlier, Mike, is the RHI scheme even. And again, I hadn't heard of that. Can you just tell our listeners a little bit more about the RHI scheme?
Yeah, so RHI stands for Renewable Heat Incentive, which was a government scheme that was set up a couple of years ago to push forward the industry, really, in terms of renewable heating as an alternative to people installing gas boilers or others. So a little bit like the solar tariff, it's designed as a sort of a financial reward or an incentive to help people choose renewables versus those other alternatives. So at the moment, it's more expensive ultimately to install a renewable heating system than it would be to put a gas boiler in. So the scheme is designed to, I guess, mitigate some of that cost. And what the government will do is, if you have let's say an air source heat pump installed in instead of a gas boiler to power your underfloor heating or your radiators, probably underfloor heating, then they will give you a payback over 7 years to contribute towards the initial capital outlay. The problem with the scheme is that it's just not that well, or the awareness of it isn't that great. So even now, when we're talking to people, even property developers, about it, they've just never heard of it. So the scheme itself is pretty good in terms of almost refunding people or paying back what they're outlaying over a period of time, but just not enough people know about it. The payback,
a real opportunity.
On domestic properties, it's 7-year payback, but actually if you've got a commercial project, it's over 20 years, and we're doing one at the moment. A friend of mine he's got a farm, and they're putting a big extension on the back of his farm to the existing tea rooms, and creating a much bigger sort of open plan, almost like a restaurant size building. And they're putting a ground source heat pump in, and we've designed it all out for them, and they'll be eligible for a 20-year payback. The figures are almost eye-watering, really, what they're actually sort of their return will be over 20 years. It's really, really great. And obviously that's not going to be the case for most domestic people, but still 7 years payback.
7 years, absolutely.
It covers the cost of the initial outlay, and not just, notwithstanding that, once they've got that back, they're going to be they're going to be getting more efficient.
Absolutely, it's a win-win, isn't it?
Their heating bills going forward are going to be much less anyway.
So it seems a real opportunity. Certainly, I think if I was in that business, I'd be getting a nice little brochure put together to communicate that to customers. So generally, what opportunities do you see for the industry going forward?
Well, I think for the industry as a whole, the opportunity to combat some of the problems. So, I mean, ultimately, the heating accounts for almost a third of the UK's carbon emissions, which is I think it's the single biggest individual contributor towards carbon emissions. So the industry's got a big opportunity to play its part.
Yeah.
But I think it falls on everyone from manufacturers to suppliers and installers. The opportunities for installers, commercially are fantastic to be able to, as you said earlier, be an early adopter to get in now. I mean, there's been renewable heating installers around for many years, but for sort of general plumbing and heating installation companies, it's a great opportunity now to start thinking about renewables and how they can add that product and that service to their business, because the demand is increasing. It has been
absolutely
a while and will continue to do so. And so, by sort of getting a foot on the ladder now with it will only put them in a good position when it probably will take off.
I'm sure it would. So what about the timing of this? What would you say to a plumbing and heating company that isn't sure if now is a good time to start adopting these new skills and practices?
I guess when is a good time, really. But there's probably been more talk about renewables and heat pumps replacing boilers in the last year or 18 months than there ever has been. So like I said before, we've seen a real spike in terms of the number of inquiries and interest from installers coming our way in terms of training and wanting to learn more about it. So there's definitely an increase in sort of demand from homeowners and installers as well to start learning. So it's a great time. It's not probably, it's not something that you would want to drop everything for right now, but certainly, it's probably a good time to start getting educated on finding out how you can sort of start. There's an element of training, of course, involved. It's quite technical in terms of the installation process. It's an opportunity for all installers, plumbing and heating installers, to be thinking about and getting themselves geared up now for the next few years, really, when the industry will definitely start to take off.
And so if I am interested as a plumbing and heating engineer, what would be the next steps?
Okay, so we work with installers on training them up on both underfloor heating, and then we've got a specialist renewables department as well. So anybody who wants to get in on the, let's say, the underfloor heating side of things, we offer free training. They can come here and we support them generally with that side of things. When it comes to renewables, it's probably a bit more involved in terms of the training process. We work with a lot of manufacturers on that side who offer training courses, and we've got a dedicated, dedicated department that will partner and work closely with the installers to make sure. A lot of the renewables sort of can be a bit more complicated around the sort of the administration side of things. So a lot of installers will have been put off by the fact that there's a scheme called the MCS scheme, which requires installers to gain an accreditation to be able to sign off their installations so that their homeowners can get the actual RHI payments. Okay, and that's been a barrier for a lot of people. So we can help them, support them with that, and leave them to the bit they're good at, which is the installation. So the best thing for them, if they're interested in learning more, is to obviously get in touch, and we can talk to them about the steps they need to take in terms of what they need to learn, and how we can support them. Okay,
and so next question is how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so if they want to just contact us directly, they can call us, or we've got all the information about what we do and our services on our website, which is tus-ufh.com. We've got all social media channels. We do quite a bit on Instagram. If you want to check us out on there, we've got all the same handles. It's at Trade Underfloor, and then obviously just call us on the numbers which are on the website as well.
And the website once again is?
It's tus-ufh.com.
Okay, that's brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much, Mike, for your time today. It's been really interesting hearing where the industry's going, and that's certainly some fantastic advice for any plumbing and heating engineer that's out there who's ambitious and wants to grow. Then I would definitely urge them to check you out and to get in touch. So thank you once again. My name, once again, is Alison Warner. I'm founder and director of Evolve and Grow Limited. You can look us up on www.evolveandgrowcoaching.com. And I'm also author of Build and Grow, How to Go from Tradesperson to Managing Director in the Construction and Trade Industry. So thank you very much again, Mike, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Thanks, Alison.